All right, so this is part 3, and we are going to be soldering on the components on that little PCB. And in part 1, we actually selected the circuit for the preamp, and we designed the PCB using KiCad. And in part 2, we actually created the PCB by putting on photoresist and exposing it under UV light, and then etching it using ferric chloride. And this is part 3, so now, as I said, we're going to be soldering on the components, and then we're going to be testing the actual preamp. So let's start. Okay, so I have pre-tinned the pads on the PCB, and we're going to put this little IC on first. I have on my other screen, I have this shown. I've hidden the traces and the zones, and I can see the outlines of the components and where they go, so that helps me. Tells me that pin 1 of the IC is at the bottom here. So, and so I'll be referring to this as I go along, as I put the various components on. This is what I do. Okay, so I've got 2 soldering irons going here. There's this one, which has a little it's like a little blade on there, which I'm going to use on this for this little chip over here. So if I can line up the legs. I've ordered a little PCB holder, but it hasn't come yet, so I'm kind of doing this. Let me see now. No, it has to go over further. Now let's do the other side. Should be a little easier because it is should be in the right place already. I think we can put a bit of flux on that first. Better. All right. .2 K resistor there. Wish I could stop knocking that rubber thing there. Pain. 2.2 K resistor is going to go here. So I found that the easiest way that I like to do these is to put solder on one pad Might as well do the one next to it as well. Just on one side, and then we can get the little component. If I can move this around. So you can solder one side on and it'll lay flat because you haven't put solder on the other side. And then you can go and put some solder on the other side to complete it. And note that I have a pretty small tip on this soldering iron, which is suitable for micro soldering. Okay. Now we need a capacitor. These are all 10 microfarad capacitors. Honk. I've got some 0.3 millimeter solder here. It's very thin, which is beneficial. All right, I think we got those done. We might do those two now. Put some flux on there in readiness. So when we solder the other components on, it's already on there. It'll be helpful. Okay. So both of those are 100k resistors. The other side. Okay. OBS Studio just hung on me, so I had to restart the computer and stuff. So we will resume. I think I'll have to reinstall OBS Studio because I'm having trouble. It stops working occasionally and then it's a pain in the neck. Okay, one side. I think it's a little bit too far over. Okay, that is better. Yeah, let's do those. All right, so there is another 100k resistor to the left, and there is a capacitor to the right. Let's do the capacitor first. Okay. Okay. Where is it? There. The other side. Looks good. Okay. Let's have a look what we can do with here. Another 100k resistor. Goes there. Now, let's go the other way around. The other side is connected to a ground plane, so I can use sticker solder. Okay, that should be good. Now we need a capacitor. It's over here. A little bit more solder on the other side. is good. Later on I'm gonna check it all with the multimeter and make sure that they went right. Okay, so let's put this the other way around. Otherwise I might get confused. Okay. Capacitor goes in the middle. Now let's do that one first. And the other two are resistors. All right. Oops. Looks like the heat goes right through them and it heats the other side up as well, so I guess I better hold it on this side too. Alright, let's should do that one. What happened to my little probe under the rubber? Might need a bit more flux there. Okay. This one's a little bit crooked. Let's move it over. It's probably okay, but you know how it is. We reach for perfection. It's a little bit better. Well, it's going to the ground plane, so I can put a bigger blob of solder on there so I can use a thicker solder. Okay, I think that is all the surface mount components done. So let me clean it up now with some alcohol, and then we'll do a few quick tests. Okay, now we are ready to start mounting the true hole components. We got a little capacitor. I actually drilled 2 holes depending on the size of the component, and the same here. I drilled 2 little holes there because some of my capacitors are smaller than others, so it would fit either one. A little bit of flux don't hurt. Okay, it should be there. Looks good. Capacitor number 2. These are these 2 capacitors are on the 12-volt input. Make sure that they're bypassed in case there is some noise on the 12 volts input. Very good. Input. Very good. Now, a little bit of bus wire. I might snip some of these legs off so that they're not in my way. Okay, now over here I've got some pads for a small capacitor in case we need to bypass some high frequency. If we see any problems within the circuit that it's amplifying some high frequency signals, or there is some sort of oscillations going on, then we can actually add that a little capacitor here that provides negative feedback. But I put one on the other one, 33 picofarads, but I'm not going to put it on this one because we're going to test it first without and see what's happening, and it will allow us to experiment. Okay, so now we'll find some sockets. All right, so now we can put in, I found two little sockets. Some of this gooey flux on. It'll help hold it in there. Okay, got one pin done so that it will hold in there. Very good. Move this little board over so that I can get to the other side. Wonder if I can hold it in like that. Yeah, I think I can. All right. All right. Got one pin done, so it'll hold in. Okay. Okay, so I have got the microphone preamp connected, and I've been doing some testing, and as you can see on the oscilloscope there, I got 46 millivolts RMS on average on there, and I've got the gain set to, I don't know, maybe 30%, 33% at the most, and it seems to be sufficient. I've got currently I'm talking through this microphone over here, which is a USB microphone, a very cheap one, not a very good one. And I have this thing set, with extra gain and compression on and all that sort of stuff through OBS Studio. But what I have done here is on this particular circuit, I put a 100 picofarad capacitor over here across the feedback, and that gave me a 3 decibels down on 23 kilohertz, less than 1 decibel down at 13 kilohertz, and 0 decibels at like 3 kilohertz. So it's just cutting back the high frequency. Now this is the microphone that we're going to be testing it with. It's a realistic Shure highball, and it's a dynamic microphone, and by itself it's got a high output impedance, which of course this circuit is taken care of. It has a high input impedance, but it's got a relatively low output impedance, which is what the PC needs. I have it connected not optimally right now. It's a long lead to the computer, very long lead in fact, and some adapters, and the input from the microphone. Actually, this is the input here. I got also this is the input, but the output I got connected to a very long lead. It's going underneath this microphone here. This is the output, and that's the input here, and this is I got to set 12 volts on my bench power supply. So I'm going to switch to the other microphone now. When I switch to the microphone, this in OBS Studio I won't have any filters on other than noise suppression, because outside the window of my room there's an air conditioner and it's very hot right now, and it is running, and you can hear the humming of that thing in the background. So with noise suppression it helps to take that out. But that's all. So we're going to test it on that. So hang on, and I'll switch microphones. Right, so now I'm talking through the dynamic microphone here. As I said, I don't have any filters on in OBS Studio. I can probably fiddle with it and select some of those filters and make the sound better, but this is just a test. The microphone is going through this little preamp over here that we built, and according to what I see on OBS Studio, it's got sufficient gain. And but I can turn, there's plenty of gain left, I can turn it up and so on, but I don't want to add distortion and things, so I think this is probably the way to go. I have the microphone about 20 centimeters from my face, which is probably normally what the distance that you would use it at. And so I haven't heard the sound myself, so I'll be interested to see on OBS Studio, that is. So I'll be interested to see what it sounds like. So I'm going to stop now and go back to the other microphone. Well, I think that this was a successful project. I've made two little preamps here. This one here, I've made up some little leads for it here, which mostly are used for testing. And I'm planning to mount this one here in the actual, I've got a full-size PC with plenty of room. I'm planning to mount this inside of the PC, and I'll be picking up some 12 volts. I've got like an old little socket here, you know, that I can plug into one of the unused hard drive sockets to get 12 volts out. And I'll be making up a lead for the output here that I will connect to the actual one of the audio inputs on the computer. There are several. I will connect it through there internally, and the microphone input, I will put a socket on the actual PC for it on a convenient spot where I'll be able to plug this microphone in directly. This microphone actually has one of those old-fashioned large phono arrangements. Where's the lead going? Over here. It has a one of those large plugs. I might put a socket that fits in directly on the actual PC case, or I could just use a 3.5 millimeter one and use this adapter. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so this circuit here, as you might have worked out, I didn't make many changes except here, because we're using surface mount components. Just one of those little capacitors here. They are not polarized, so I'd use one instead of two. Was not necessary to put two. That I just got one capacitor, and I put a small capacitor across this little pot over here, sitting there, to limit the bandwidth. And that's about it, and the rest works fine. And as I've shown earlier in the other videos, you can actually buy a kit of these things. They use true hole components, but if you need a little preamp and you don't want to go to the problem of making the PCB yourself and so on, you can buy the little kit, and it works pretty good. So I'll sign off with that, and until next time, got some more projects coming, and perhaps if I make a little box or one of these things on the 3D printer, I might make a little video of that and show my 3D printer setup. I got a Snapmaker 350 setup, and it is working very well indeed for me, so might be of interest too. Okay, so that's it. Thanks, guys. Oh, and if you I hope to be getting better at this video stuff. If you enjoy some of these videos, then please subscribe, and that'll help along for to get more videos out. Oh, all right, I'll see you next time.